Jets Giants, it's no secret these two teams don't like each other. Will advantage Big Brother continue in NYC? The last time the Jets beat the Giants was back on Halloween in 1993 when the Jets defense held off Phil Simms and company for a 10-6 win. Ryan Fitzpatrick's squad is a 2-point favorite over Eli. Stephen A., who are you going with?
I would love to go with the New York Jets, to be honest with you, because I love me some Todd Bowles, and I'm rooting for him to be successful as a head coach with gangrene. However, I just find this to be one of those situations where I think the Giants are a little bit more desperate and, dare I say, a little bit healthier. Even though they don't have Victor Cruz, they haven't had him all year long. The fact that the New York Jets don't have Darrelle Revis, the fact that Calvin Pace hasn't been 100% due to his abdomen injury, I think the combination of those two things are going to debilitate the Jets defense at least a little bit. Not having Revis out there. I know Cromartie's still out there. I know Screen is still out there. You know, Harris and the crew are still out there. And obviously, Eli Manning is an immobile target. He's not a scrambler. So if you're the Jets and you have any kind of pass rush with Muhammad Wilkerson, Sheldon Richardson, and Williams and those crew, I mean, you could cause some havoc. But I think fresh off of 3 interceptions last week, not having the greatest game, obviously I'm talking about Eli Manning, I think that he's going to be looking to make amends. And then I look at it from this perspective. Skip Bayless, I think Odell Beckham Jr. is a star. I think this kid is a superstar in the making. Every single week I see this guy go out there, and you're going to have to contend with him. And I think you need all your horses in your secondary ready and raring to go in order to prevent and nullify him from having a big-time game. And I think without Revis out there, that puts Cromartie and Screen in precarious situations that I think ultimately will work to the Jets' disadvantage. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick will have a good game as well because of his ability to scramble, not just throw, but to scramble. But I haven't been pleased overall by what I've seen from the Jets' offense as of late. I think that the Giants' offense is explosive. They could easily lose just as much as they win because they're so inconsistent. But I think Odell Beckham Jr., I mean, the brother's got 1,005 yards receiving already and 72 receptions. The combination of him and Randall, along with Vereen or somebody, or, you know, being able to run out of the backfield with you with Green or Vereen or Jennings or what have you, I just think that this is one of those games that the Giants end up winning. I'm going to pick the Giants to win this game 33-31.
Okay, high scoring.
Yes.
By the way, it is the Giants' home game, so since they get the tickets, you would think there's going to be a lot more blue than green, I'm assuming. And I agree with you. I'm very intrigued by this game, probably the most intrigued by any on the docket on Sunday, because your Giants, Stephen A., and your Giants, Miss Molly, are the most unpredictable team in the National Football League. Yes. I don't know what to expect from week to week. When I least expect it, it goes this way, and I least expect that, and it goes that way. They should have beaten the New England Patriots when they were riding high and even healthier, or much healthier than they are for this Sunday. And I also remind you, they lost at New Orleans 52-49. I can't fathom that. I look back at that game, I say, what was that? And then the stinker at Washington last Sunday was unfathomable to me because I just didn't see that coming that way, that badly, because it was pretty decisive, really, all things considered. So it's hard to know what to expect or make of this team that has so much good to it, because this team is second in the NFL in takeaways with 23. That's pretty great. This team is third in turnover margin, and that often tells the tale. Third in the National Football League in turnovers. And Eli, for the most part this year, has been good Eli. We've had rearing of the ugly head of bad Eli here and there, but not all that much. A couple flashes last week. The one pass late in the end zone, picked off by some undrafted free agent who was a receiver at Florida. That's no good. But all that said, and I may be picking here, I'll be the first to admit it, with heart over head, because obviously, because I do support this other team in the NFC East that's still hanging on by just the slimmest little margin of thread, still hanging on, my Dallas Cowboys. I need the Giants to lose this game, so I'm going to pick the Jets to win this game, quote unquote, at the Giants. I think it'll be a little lower scoring than you. I'll go 26-24. The visiting team, quote unquote, even though they obviously share the same stadium. And what I do like about the Jets is that Ryan Fitzpatrick has been way better than I thought he could be. They lead the NFL in red zone efficiency. So when they get it in position, they put it in the end zone. And I'm impressed by that. They've also allowed the fewest sacks in the NFL. I'm impressed by that. And I'm impressed that Brandon Marshall has 9 touchdown catches and Eric Decker has 8. And if Decker catches 1 this weekend, that would give the Jets 2 9-touchdown receivers for the first time in their history. That's pretty great. So those guys are doing pretty well. I'm a Todd Bowles fan, too. This team blitzes the highest rate in the National Football League. And for whatever reason, a guy who used to just snack on the blitz, Eli Manning, has not been very good against the blitz this year. He's less mobile. He's not quite as sure of himself as he used to be. He's fallen to 24th in the NFL versus the blitz. He's going to see a whole bunch of blitzers. And if they disrupt him, and if they create turnovers, remember, in their 6 wins, the Jets have had 2 or more turnovers in each of the 6 wins. When they don't turn it over, they lose. So I'm going to say they create 3 turnovers. I'm not saying they're just from Eli. They will create 3, and it will give them just enough of an edge to hold off Eli and win a close game on the quote-unquote road.
Well, I would say this to you. Here's the reason. Here's my analysis, Skip, in terms of why I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm thinking about a guy like Jarvis Landry, who had, you know, over 140 receiving yards last week against the New York Jets. And I'm thinking if he could do that, what can Odell Beckham Jr. do? That's number one. I'm thinking about the fact that the Jets have the #1 rushing defense, I'm sorry.
They do.
You know, they held Miami to just 12 yards rushing last year. They're number 3 in yards allowed in the National Football League, so we get that. On the offensive side, Brandon Marshall had about 9 receptions for 131 yards last week. I think he's definitely capable of doing the same against the Giants, who have the worst pass defense in all of the NFL in yards allowed. And so when I look at it from that perspective, I think there are reasons that the Giants can score. I think there are reasons that the Jets can score. The Jets could throw, the Giants could throw on anybody when they're hot, and the Jets can throw on the Giants because the Giants can't defend the pass. So it's going to be real interesting to see what transpires. But I just have this funny feeling that for this particular game, some of the breaks are going to go the Giants' way because there's a level of desperation that is kicked in now that the Redskins have come out of nowhere. And the NFC East is on the line, whereas the Jets are resigned to the fact that they're going to be a wild card and they have to battle with Buffalo, who they have a 1-game advantage on, along with the Kansas City Chiefs, Pittsburgh Steelers. They got to look at all of that stuff. But I do think that the level of urgency gets attached to the Giants in this particular situation.
I'm
and I think they will respond in kind.
Now, back to your Odell Beckham Jr. point. I look at these numbers. This is 4 straight games now that he's had 100-plus yards receiving. It's pretty spectacular. Yet, I also look at the outcomes of those games. Your Giants have lost 3 out of those 4. So Eli is targeting him in the last 3 games an average of 16 times a game. That's absurdly high. 16 times he throws it ODB's way. It's a good idea, but surely, even without Revis, you can manage that a little bit if you're smart enough. Obviously, you're going to double them. They're even down their other corner, like one of their top 4 corners, Marcus Williams kid. He's supposed to be out. I'm not sure about him. So this is going to be a tough day. But then the flip side is what you brought up, and it was going to be my case-closing point. Your Giants are on pace, allowing 419 yards a game to have the worst defense in your franchise's history. And your franchise has been around a long, great time. Great time.
Very good defense.
Oh, has it?
Well, that is why if the Giants don't make the playoffs again this year, their owner didn't step up, Tish, and give the Jerry Reese or Tom Coughlin a vote of confidence. Tom Coughlin's signature is defense. If they don't make the playoffs, it'll be the 5th time in the last 6 years, and I think the 6th time in the last 7 years they haven't even made the playoffs. It will be time for a change in East Rutherford, New Jersey, with the Big Blue. That's number 1. Number 2, I would like to point out this. Those 3 losses that you pointed out over the last 4 games, one of those losses was when the Giants scored 49 points.
Yep.
And Odell Beckham Jr. had 8 receptions for 130 yards.
You got
that
it.
is against New Orleans. And then then the other one was to New England, where he only had 4 receptions for 104 yards, but one included an 87-yard touchdown pass.
Yep.
So in those two of those 3 losses, it's not like he was absent. He had an impact.
Skip, if you weren't a Cowboys fan, would you still be picking the Jets? Because I'm not convinced. I'm
Probably not.
See, I knew it.
Probably not.
I could tell.
Well, I
knew
admitted it,
Yeah,
but I
know.
said I'm picking with my heart over my head.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Do the right thing.
Fair enough. You
Change
got
the
me.
pick. Moving on.